I got through it. And the good news, it's really just 2 parts, but they just happen a lot. And there will be a full tab available at my Patreon. The link is in the description. Okay, so a few things about this song. The original recording, first of all, is a little like out of tune. It's like a little sharp. It's like the guitar is in tune with itself, but it's like a little higher. It's not a full half step higher, so it's not like a guitar with a capo at the first fret. It's like a guitar that's sharp. It's also, I believe, a guitar in Nashville tuning, which, so if you know what that is, if you don't know what that is, it's basically like a 12 string. If you know what how a 12 string works, there's 12 strings, but it's really 6 strings with each of them doubled. And the bottom 3 strings, meaning the low E, the A, and the D, are doubled with a string that's tuned an octave higher. So it's like when you play a low E string on a 12 string, you get this. You get the note and the octave higher. The A string sounds like that, the D string sounds like that, etc. Right? And all the notes, right? A Nashville tuning guitar is essentially the bottom 3. You just have the high string. So the E string, you don't have this low E string. You have just this note. Okay. So you get a lot of interesting things with that. So in the case of this song, for instance, like if you play this, a very standard finger picking part, you play that in Nashville tuning and it sounds like this. Because this note, instead of being this, is this, and this note, instead of being this, is this. So it's like, anyway, so that's why the original sounds a little different. There's one live video that I found on YouTube, and she's playing it in a standard guitar. Interestingly, with a capo at the 3rd fret, so she's making it higher. So that's how I played it, is standard guitar, because I figured I don't personally have a guitar in that tuning around. Okay, so I thought you'd like that. Anyway, that's an explanation of that. Let's get into it. Okay, so let's talk real quick about the finger picking. As usual, you have some choices. Like I think she actually does it in the style where it's just thumb and index. I find it much easier. It's just what I'm used to use my thumb, index, and middle. And the main picking pattern that happens all the time is just this. So it's just thumb on the A, middle on the B, which could also be your index on the B, thumb on the D, and then index on the G. Modified as usual with finger picking. It modifies sometimes when the chord has different strings in it. So for instance, when you go to the G chord, then now the thumb is going to the low E string, and then there's some where it goes where your middle or your index goes to the high E string. Okay, so but this is the basic pattern. If you're familiar with it, which you might be, then you should be able to jump right into it. 5, 2, 4, 3, thumb, middle, thumb, index, but it can also be thumb, index, index. It kind of depends what you prefer. Okay, so I'll discuss some of the intricacies as we go through the song, but that's your basic right hand pattern. Okay, so the verse. The first chord is a C. This is very normal. So you do that finger picking pattern twice on a C. And again, on the original, because of that tuning, it sounds like, which is cool. But on the standard guitar, it just sounds like that. The next chord is it's an E minor. But she doesn't do the low E string. She sticks to these 4 strings. Now, there's a way that I hear it being played sometimes, definitely on the record, which is not in the pattern, and it's going. So if you want to play it that way, it's get into this E minor shape. I would recommend it with the 2nd and 3rd finger, and then. So you play, start with the 2nd finger up, play the open A with your thumb, then hammer on the 2nd finger. Then the thumb plays the D string, then the index plays the G. hammer on from open to 2 on the A, D string, index plays the open G. So coming from the C, it's like, right? Which in that Nashville tuning sounds like, if that makes any sense. It's like, it's cool. Okay, so you can also do it more normal, meaning you just get into that E minor and then the right hand just picks exactly the same way it did on the C. Right? Okay, so you can just do that. I was doing a little variation too sometimes where I would do the sort of normal version, but hammer on, do a quick hammer on the A string, which is a little different than, more like, anyway, those are all options. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so again, there's a tab if you want to look at that. Okay, then switch to the G, which I'm doing this style of G. You don't need the A string, so you can just do like this. I like this, but you could also do it with your second and third, your first and second, your first and third, whatever's comfortable for you. I like doing it with my third finger on the third fret of the low E and my pinky on the third fret of the high E. So now the first time you do the pattern is going to be same as before, but now the thumb starting on the low E instead of starting on the A. And then the second time of the pattern, it's going to do the second note of the pattern. Instead of being the B string, instead of being the second string, it's going to be the E string, the high string. So it becomes 6 2 4 3 6 1 4 3, right? That's the different pattern that happens on the. And then it's going to do that pattern again, but this time lift the third fret on the high E and just have open. So G string, like G chord like this. Get the high E string in the pattern. Do the same right hand pattern, but this time with an open E instead of the third fret on the E. All right, so hopefully that made some amount of sense. Then you're back to the C, back to the E minor. This time you do that, and you do it the same way. So you don't do the open E thing, but you still do the high E. So the pattern is still a slightly modified version of the pattern in order to get the high E in there. Alternating thumb and index, or thumb, index, thumb, middle, thumb, index. But it's just now you're moving the top note of the pattern, the top string of the pattern, from the second string to the first string. Okay, sorry, I explained the D minor really poorly a second ago, so starting over. So you're in this D minor. So there's so many ways to think about these kind of things. I think of it as like the high note of the pattern. So normally it's kind of like low, high, low, high, low, high, low, high, if that makes any sense. This is sort of how I visualize it. It becomes like low, high, low, high, low, high, low, high. And so it becomes 5, 1, 4, 3, 5, 2, 4, 3. 5, A, E, D, G, A, B, D, G. Right to an A. A is back to your standard picking pattern, 5, 2, 4, 3. If you want to have no break in between those chords, just keep holding your second finger down. Because if you pick up, you get that. So try to keep this finger anchored there so you can and stuff. So then you do that, then the D minor again, but now it's just one, wait, same thing. D minor again, and now G7. So G7, this chord, and again, when you're going from D minor, keep that first finger anchored. And now this finger picking pattern is the same as that other G picking pattern, I think, right? So 5, 2, 4, 3, 5, 1, 4, 3. And that happens for 2 bars or 4 times through the pattern. Alternating between the thumb and either just the index or the middle and the index. Okay, so the chorus starts with this chord. It's like an F over A kind of thing. So first finger on the first fret of the B, second finger on the second fret of the G, and third finger on the third fret of the D. And then your picking pattern is the same as the C. It's A, B, D, G. Right? Okay, so then you pick up your first finger. It's an interesting, pretty chord. Then put your pinky down on the third fret of the B. And then back to the original chord. So it's like, it's an F chord the whole time, basically, but the note on the B string changes from first fret to open to third fret to first fret. Then C chord, E minor. So 2 times through on the C, 2 times through on the E minor. Now you're in the C minor. Now pick up the A string note, whatever finger you're playing with it. So it's open A, back to the E minor. So that little part is C, E minor, open A, back to the E minor. Okay, now back to this part. Now, after you've done this, now you're going to pick up both this first finger and this third finger. Or wait, sorry. Oh, it actually happens here, sorry. When you go back to the first fret here, pick up the third finger there, so you have open D. So you have this F chord, now you have the open B, now you have the third fret on the B. Now here, when you go back to the first fret on the B, pick up the third finger so that the D string is open. Now pick up the first finger again, this weird chord, just the second finger on the second fret of the G. And then third finger goes back down to the third fret on the B, and then you go to G7. This is just the same little pattern on the G7 that we had at the end of the verse. Now it goes for four measures. If that makes any sense. Okay, yeah, that's the chorus. There's one wrinkle in the verse, which is like one of the verses stays on this longer. There's one verse that has that. Otherwise, there's just a bunch of verses and choruses. All right, I hope that works as an explanation. But as usual, let me know any questions, anything that's unclear. And like I said, there'll be a tab available on my Patreon, which is below, and enjoy, and thank you so much for watching.